men have no value to start off. They have to build value, and I have to build a shit ton of value because firstly, I was just looking around and I'm like, people say, oh, should I quit uni and start my drop shipping business? I'm like, no, don't quit uni. What you need to do is show your parents that you've done some shit, and then you deserve to quit uni, right? Right, it's because I wanted to escape. I wanted to be in a different reality.
On a level of 1 to 10, how happy are you?
Happy, like, is it that specific word? Directly right now, I just came back from a Michelin star restaurant. I'm about to go to sleep, like, and I also killed the day. I made a lot of money today. I am happy. I'm happy at the level of 10, but in regards to like fulfillment, which is what my indicator would be, like more of a accurate indicator, I would say I'm at a 7 right now because I've got a lot of work to do. Even though people look at my life and say, oh, bro,
Jane. It's funny because like a lot of people don't even actually know your real name. They just know JP. Why do you never really go by your actual name?
I thought that JP was like just easy to say, right? Like when I was young, I'd say most people just called me JP because it's like my full name was too long, right? And JP just sounds catchy, so I'm like, might as well just keep going with JP. I like it because it was also like OPSEC aware, right? Like I don't really want to give out my full name to most people on the internet because most of them are psychopaths, right? As from experience online, most people online are just crazy people. So I was like, might as well just like keep it up with JP everywhere, and do that. But yeah, my full name is John Paul, but I don't really want people to see me and they're like, oh, that's John Paul. No, I want them to see me and they're like, that is JP, right? So.
Well, one thing that I remember seeing is a video that you made about how you got to Dubai and how you got to where you are right now. And you were saying how when you were like 18, you worked like 4 jobs or something. Where does that mindset, that hustler's mentality, because I've spoken to you a few times and like I see you on your Telegram and things, your workhorse, I really admire your work ethic and how fast you are doing things. Where did that work ethic come from?
Yeah, well, I'd say like every day I have a burning desire to continuously work. Like I just have so much energy every day, right? Firstly, it ties into firstly my mindset as well as how I regulate my energy, right? My energy is so high because firstly, I understand when my energy is low, I correct it so that I can be high, right? And I know what to do in order to be completely efficient every single day. But where does that stem from? I would say it stems from my upbringings, right? Do you want me? Should I get into like the early days and everything? Because end of the day, like if you start from like a shitty upbringing, that really like puts you in a pressurized area, right? Like it's either you just accept your reality or you decide to change that reality. And in order for me to change a reality that I was in the past, it took so much work. And I'll be completely honest right now, most people that I used to know, right, they're either still in university or college or even high school, or they are either dead, they're either in some fucking gang, or they're selling drugs, or they're doing whatever it is, right? So I was born in like the worst areas of Toronto, in Jane and Finch, right? And if people from Toronto know, they know Jane and Finch is like the worst area ever. And it wouldn't like be perceived that I, white guy, blue eyes, looks good, whatever it is, would come from a place like Jane and Finch. But I did, right? And I just had to work towards escaping that environment because, and I'll be completely honest, that's why I really respect the online world. I was able to see how it was living in an alter reality through the online world, right? So firstly, me being in a situation and seeing other people's realities and wanting those realities, and then me wanting it so bad that I start working towards getting to that place, right? So, yeah, I'd say like I came from not the most ideal environment. Most people that I know now, I don't associate with them. And the work ethic really came from that upbringing, right? At one point when I was 17, 16, even 18, 19 as well, I had 4 jobs. There were some times like I would cycle through jobs, but I've gone through many different jobs, right? When I would say 14, 15, 16, that's when my mindset, like I literally programmed myself to be like that self-development person. What does that mean? It means that I understand how the course of the life of a man goes, right? And I understand that in order to live that lifestyle that they want to live, as well as be in the places that I wanted to be, I had to build my own value. I had to understand that men have no value to start off. They have to build value, right? And I have to build a shit ton of value because firstly, I was just looking around and I'm like, look, these houses over here, I was in the worst areas of Jane and Finch, right? And every single house or apartment or whatever it is costed like $1 million, 500K, 800K, whatever it is. And this is in Canadian dollars, so it's quite a lot. And I'm like, I looked at how much my parents were making, as well as my friends' parents making like, I don't know, 80K, 60K, whatever Ks, and then remove tax, and then remove expenses, and then remove car bills, and then remove everything. It's like I'm like the peak of my life is going to be like owning a house incomplete in the shittiest area in Canada, right? It's like, isn't my life more than just like owning a house, having a job, having some kids that I can possibly feed them with the super high bills and shit, right? Do I really want that to be my reality? So I had to pressurize myself insanely so I can get myself from 0 to 100, right? I would see all these Lambos online and I'm like, how the fuck does this guy has a Lambo and how don't I have one? I would look at the person directly and I'm like, that individual specifically, does he work harder than me? What is he doing that's allowing him to get in those situations, right? Firstly, they're hard workers usually, right? And as well, they're intellectual. They know what they're doing in business, right? They're also critical thinkers. They also don't allow their ego to get in the way of their business. They're emotionally strong, emotionally stable, right? They have high emotional intelligence. So I had to work on all those things at such a young age, right? And I also knew as a very young guy, like I didn't have all this information that I had now, but the very obvious thing was just to start working, just to get out there and start working. So what I did was I just started getting a bunch of jobs. So I got myself a lifeguarding job, and then I got myself a security job, and then I got myself 2 landscaping on-call jobs. So one of the landscaping teams was a group of Indians, right? The Indian father was running the landscaping company, and then there's some other of his friends, and then there was me, right? That one white boy. And this is always me. It's kind of like Jay Waller, how he's that one white boy in the group. In Jane and Finch, I was the only white guy in my school, right? There was like 1 or 2 here and there, but I was like the only white guy, right? And in my working environments, I was the only white guy over there. I was just consistently working, even though to me, like, color doesn't really matter. But like, if you're like in the matrix areas of the world, if you're in the if you're in the poor areas of the world, people really care about skin color for some reason, right? I don't really know why. Maybe that's to divide people. But anyways, the thing is, I went into areas, like into businesses that just started off, right? Like the landscaping company, they just started the business. They're trying to hustle as much as possible, right? So we would work 16 hours nonstop every day. And they would like push me, right? We would keep each other accountable. Even though I didn't like really make that much money, I would make like, I would say $10 an hour, right? It wasn't crazy for Canada. Like if you have $10 million houses and you're making $10 an hour, of course, it's not that high, right? If you compare yourself to third world countries or different countries all around the world, that would be a good wage. But relative to Canada, it was very, very bad, right? And then I had all these other jobs at like the age of 17, right? And people would ask me, why am I doing this? And the answer was simple, right? It's because I wanted to escape. I wanted to be in a different reality. I was a very antisocial guy back in the day because I didn't feel like I was connected to the people that I thought like to the same kind of people, right? I wasn't in the right environments, and I genuinely believed that because the people that I was around didn't have the goals and didn't have the same ambitions as me, right? They said they wanted to build their businesses. They said they wanted to do shit, but they never did anything, right? And I ultimately wanted to be in different areas of places in my life, so I had to work like crazy, right? So that's kind of like how everything stemmed. I just got a bunch of jobs, got started, and then understood that from there I had to increase the value of my time. So it's firstly about just getting started, right? So firstly you have to get started, get a bunch of jobs, and then soon realize that what you have to do on top of that is increase your hourly rates, right? Then you increase your hourly rate and then realize that you're doing the whole thing wrong, but you did it right because firstly that increased your work ethic, right? So then after that, I decided to exchange my money. What is it called, right? When you exchange time with money, or it's the opposite, right? I wasn't exchanging my time for money. I was kind of more abundant, right? I was building businesses. I was more of an entrepreneur. That's when things kind of started lifting off. But yeah.
Why was it that you were prioritizing changing environment and not changing maybe the reality and within that same environment? Why was it that leaving that environment and escaping to another one, to a better one, was the main thing in your mind rather than maybe leveling up in that area?
That's a good question. Okay. All right. So basically, people say, okay, why leave Canada if you can stay in Canada and fix the country, right? Why stay in the same environment? Why not stay in the same environment and work on who you're around, all this stuff? I believed it very simply, right? If I wanted to accelerate myself so quickly that people would not even recognize me within 1 year, 2 years, I had to change my environment ASAP, right? I had to do that like instantly. And firstly, a lot of people telling me, hey, bro, you betrayed Canada. You left Canada. You could have worked on it. You could have worked on the elections. Come back and help me campaign for this new thing so that we can take the government down. We can do this. We can change Canada around. I'm like, bro, there is a huge globe in front of you. Why are you focused on just one piece of the earth, right? To me, I like to detach emotions from everything. Even though my family's over there, even though I kind of dropped all my friends over there, but I have my family over there, which is important. And I plan to take care of them. I plan to hopefully get them out of Canada. But that is the most important part that's in Canada, right? And I'm never going to discard it. I'm actually going to Canada in a few months. But I'm not emotionally attached to some piece of land. Firstly, I was looking at this on a whole entire risk basis, right? If I stay in Canada, I'm going to be paying $1 million for a house, right? I'm going to be spending so much money in order to stay in a wintry place, literally Arctic weather, right? For no reason. Because firstly, even it's literally a communist country if you look at it very simply. Canada is super cold, and if you look at normal human biology, you're not completely optimized if you're in the cold all the time, right? So I'd rather have vitamin D, I'd rather have the right environments, I'd rather have non-processed foods going in my mouth, right? If you look at everything in general, the matrix is so concentrated within the West. And you look at the agendas, LGBT, whatever's happening in general in my country, I would just look at what's going on and protests, all this stuff, and I'm like, why? Like, do I see me growing kids or having kids and having my family in this country? Yes or no? If not, then might as well make the change ASAP, because I'm not trying to like slow down with my life. I'm not trying to be a slow guy. So I was like, okay, age of 20, decided, actually, when I was 19, I started traveling around. I was never that guy that would travel. No one in my area would like even go on an airplane. First time I went on an airplane was when I was 19. And then I started going to Saskatchewan, then the US, and then Romania, and then random Spain, like everywhere. It's crazy. For me, it was crazy just going on an airplane at 19 years old. I paid for it. I paid for everything. When I was going, I paid for everything. Like complete responsibility on me for me to leave. But yeah, that's kind of how it started. Like I don't have emotional attachments to land. And I say very, very often, patriotism is only granted if your government respects you, right? If your government is disrespecting you in real time, then you should not be patriotic. After what happened in the pandemic, it gave me more of a reason to leave. So much more. I was like, I don't want to put like random needles in my body and stuff, and then not have the ability to like go out to the grocery without getting scared of someone else like yelling at me and stuff. I never really followed the rules, to be completely honest. I never followed the rules because I didn't really want to put random needles in me. I didn't know what was in the needle, and like I never really followed the mask rules. I'll just be completely honest, right? So I didn't like what they were doing, so I just left. Super simple.
How long have you been in Dubai now?
Well, I'm not in Dubai now, but basically based in Dubai, corporate based over there, all this stuff. I would say since February. So that's like maybe, what is that? 6 months? Yeah, 6 months or something.
Yeah. So where did Dubai come in? Like, where did the idea of let me go to Dubai come in? Because you wanted to move somewhere, but when did it become Dubai?
Yeah. So I was trying to figure out the best tax structures, right? Because of course I was making a lot of money back then, right? I was making $50K a month around those areas back in that time. And I was very, very close to the Tates as well as some other high-level people, right? And at one point, I actually was thinking highly. I was like, am I going to stay in Canada to pay 50% tax, to have bad weather, bad food, bad people around me, except for my family, of course, but just everything bad except for the family, right? Or I was thinking of setting up a LLC or some business in the US, whereas from that by proxy, I would be able to be a non-resident and pay zero tax and travel globally. Would I do that, right? This is just me learning, and I was 19. I was just learning all this stuff. 19 or actually 20, I don't really know specifically. Maybe I was 20. But then at one point I was in Dubai with the Tates, and then I was speaking to Luke, and he was like, bro, why don't you just set up a business here? You'll have 0% tax. You'll have all the Dubai perks. You'll be where billionaires are. Like, Dubai is built to attract billionaires. And by proxy of that, wherever the money's flowing towards, that means that society will be in a bull market, right? So if I want to be in a society that's going up and that's thriving and that's continuously getting better and better, and also it's based under religion. To me personally, I'm Catholic, right? But what I prefer is the society to be based on religion than their religion to be some random LGBT stuff, right? Because end of the day, you cannot have an atheist country. Countries are not atheists, right? The prime minister or president or whatever it is has some kind of beliefs, right? They have some kind of morals, right? And in regards to the US and Canada, their religion is essentially this LGBTQ Satanist stuff, right? So I wanted the country that I was going to have some kind of proper morals, proper moral code. So it made sense. Like Luke was like, bro, if billionaires want a jungle in Dubai, they're going to make it happen, right? If billionaires want anything to happen over here, they're gonna make it happen. And he was like, it's so easy. It doesn't matter about your age, just make it happen, right? And I was like, bro, at 20 years old, if I do this shit, like I will be the craziest, most like insane guy ever. Setting up a business, going to Dubai alone, not knowing that many people, just like going and just risking it all, like just arriving. And I did it. Actually, the first time I went to Dubai, when I was meeting them, all my bank accounts got frozen. There's even more stories and stuff, right? My bank accounts got frozen, and that was an extra reason for me to leave, because Canada and Western countries, they don't want you to leave, right? So what do they do to keep you away from leaving? They set up agreements with banks in general, and they make it hard for you to exit your liquidity out of these Western countries. It's hard to leave, right? You have to pay these taxes. You have to set up these papers. You have to leave and do this specifically. You have to wait for this amount of months. I'm happy because I'm Canadian. I was able to leave and have the whole system pretty straightforward. But they did end up locking a lot of my cards because like I was traveling too much. And they didn't like that. But yeah.
So speaking of the Tates, what was it like meeting with them? And what's the side of them that the internet and the millions and billions of followers?
Okay, well, yeah, like Tate is everywhere, right? And this is one thing I'll say. A lot of internet people, and I've met a lot of them. I've met Sneako. I've met a lot of top level people. You like see them and you're like, wow, oh my gosh. You see them online so much, and you're like, when you see them in real life, it's like unreal, right? Because you see them so much, and then you see the actual human being, and you're like, what the heck? This is crazy, right? They're actual people. But I'll say this right now, like his work ethic is real, right? We would live together, right? Essentially, and I would see him down at the very bottom of the villa, already working, very up early in the morning, working nonstop, undying energy all the time to work, right? And then there would be moments where I'm just working laptop, everything, we're working together. And it was the perfect environment, man, honestly. Perfect environment, coffee's coming through, sparkling water, all this stuff. So that you're like, basically you're in the highest energy levels. You're completely set up to be the most efficient person when you're at your laptop, right? He would stand up and then do 100 push-ups. And then 2 hours later, or an hour later, then goes 100 push-ups again. He is that guy. Like, there are not a lot of people online that say things and then actually do it, right? Like, he actually does push-ups. People like a year ago, or now like a few months ago, could have been motivated to do push-ups every day and stuff, right? But he's that guy that's going to be doing it consistently, and he's been doing it consistently for such a long time. And that kind of reinforced my work ethic. Me being around him reinforced my work ethic like insanely. And now, after meeting him and after being around him, it really just kind of, I created competition within my own mind, and I said, okay, cool. I'm going to set myself to that standard, and that's the standard that I will be following. So I will be competing with that standard all the time. I saw how his work ethic was, and I saw the direct reason why he has millions and millions and millions of dollars in his bank account. He has this because he's doing this. So I'm going to do that. Right? There is no other trick or hack. Right? He like works extremely hard. He's a critical thinker, and he knows what he's doing, and that is the exact reason to why he was able to get that success. So my very simple processing in my brain told me, okay, if I do this, then by proxy, I will get all of the success and everything that I would want to have, right? I've been working hard since day one, but by me being around him, it really reinforced that belief.
What's the most important thing you've learned from him?
I'll be completely honest. It's really mostly work ethic. It's really mostly having undying energy as well. Okay, I would say this. Making sure you hit every area of your life all the time, right? So people say, okay, I need to get that money. I need to get that money. I need to get that Lambo ASAP, right? Of course you want to get it. But in order to get it, you need to be valuable in general throughout every single area of your life, right? You need to hit the gym. You need to work on your physicality. You need to work on your mentality. You need to work on your mental strength. You need to work on your emotional strength. You have to work on every single area of your life so that you can then, by proxy, get the wealth, right? It's not only about always laptop, right? You have to have everything together, all balanced, right? By him doing the push-ups, by him then getting ready to go out at night to then film content, looking sharp, right? Having the right kind of attire, and also like having a haircut every single day, making sure you look professional. So important, right? So it's not only about being a hustler online and constantly just like laptop crazy like these guys on Twitter, right? It's about constantly working on every single aspect of your life. And eventually then being that guy that deserves his own ego. And I'm currently building this as well, right? Like, firstly, I deserve my ego in regards to my finances and what I've done generally in regards to the remote work and scalability and all this stuff, right? But to be completely honest, I don't have the physicality that I want right away, right? And I'm looking forward to those days when I actually earn my own ego in regards to saying that, yeah, I'm stronger than you. I can beat the shit out of you. I can get all this stuff done, right? You need to earn your own ego. That's kind of like what I was thinking. But I'll tell you right now, Tate really just reinforced the belief of, firstly, it is possible, right? It's very, very possible for you to get those results. And firstly, it is inevitable for you to get the success that you want if you're consistently working and putting energy into the world, right? I've actually realized the metaverse is like a mirror, right? If you put more energy into the metaverse consistently, then that energy will then come back by proxy, which is why I blew up on Twitter so quickly, and which is why I also blew up on my Telegram channel so quickly, is because I just shoved a bunch of energy into the metaverse nonstop, and then I got that shockwave back because I was pushing nonstop. Of course, I'm always pushing, but that shockwave that comes back to you, you might never know when it comes, but you need to always be consistent at that work, right? So I'll just say that Tate reinforced my work ethic and made me, firstly, set my standard in life. What is the standard that I want in life? As well as some more influencers such as Sartorial, right? He got me going even more, right? It's always like I see one guy and he's like, and I'm like, fuck, man, I got to get to his level. And I see another guy and I'm like, fuck, man, I got to get to his level. And it just keeps going nonstop all the time, which is why I believe connecting and networking is so important, right? And being in the right kind of online networks is so, so important. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that.
Speaking of physicality, have you tried fighting in Thailand?
I have, right? I did at, when we were with Sneako and Jules, we went to a Muay Thai gym, right? And a few days ago, I was actually doing a program with one of my personal trainers, and I would say his name is Benedict, and he did this completely for free for me, and I'm like, props to him. But he basically gave me a whole entire setup on how I can build physicality, all this stuff. I'll tell you right now, like, I've been always that guy that hits the gym, right? But I haven't been that guy that's been the best and most ideal with diet, right? And I've been eating bullshit Canadian food for such a long time that it does put a toll on how you look personally. So I'm working on that. But in regards to fighting, yes, I have fought in multiple warm events, but yeah.
I trained in a couple martial arts, and like I love fighting. It gives a feeling that I feel you can't, even working, I don't get that feeling.
Yeah. It's very raw. It's like if I can beat you up, right, and then like that, it's very like primal and animalistic.
So working hard and with the type of work ethic that you've built over the years, how did that work ethic start building the type of networks that you have built now?
Okay. In regards to networking, so firstly, working hard, all this stuff, right? That was kind of like when I was like a dummy. I was like, okay, if I want to get to those levels, I had to just work hard, right? Then I incorporated the smart work. Then I incorporated the networking, right? Like what I tell everyone right now, don't start by working smart. Don't be like a geek and stuff and start networking, all this stuff, right? Firstly, go in the trenches and get started, right? Get yourself 4 jobs right now, which is what I'm telling my brother to do, actually. But go in the trenches, get started. Firstly, get started, get a bunch of jobs, just go at it, right? Because jobs actually, they basically force you to work, which is why that's why I'm not telling people start a drop shipping business, start this business, right? Because no one's keeping them accountable to that work. But if you're at a job, like you have to be at this place, you have to be doing this, you have to do that. And if you're a guy specifically, I would say get a construction job, get a landscaping job, get jobs that are like physically demanding, right? But you said in regards to my networking, right? When did that start? I would say that started when I started understanding more about your environment, right? And your environment was a reflection on you. And that actually started, like that belief specifically began when I started watching Fresh and Fit and Tate, you know, when he started blowing up on Fresh and Fit, he said, your environment is the reflection of yourself, right? So I was like, man, I gotta work on my surroundings and my environment. So what I did, I decided to go to networking events. So I downloaded the Eventbrite app, meetup.com, Meetup app, all these different apps specifically. And I was like, man, let's go. Let's just go. Let's just go to networking events. I was 19 at that time. And that's how I actually got myself to get my first 9-to-5 job. So I was in uni and I really didn't want to be in uni. And so I was like, okay, cool. The best and easiest excuse for me to leave uni is firstly, I got myself a 9-to-5 job. I got the reward of what all graduates would want to get. So what I'm going to do is just get a 9-to-5 job so I can quit uni, right? So through strenuous networking nonstop all the time, I got myself a 9-to-5 job through my networking. I was 19, bro. People give so many excuses out there and they say, I can't get a 9-to-5 job because of this reason. A guy in his 30s, a guy in his 20s, whatever it is. I was 19, going out to networking events, speaking to guys in their 40s, guy that owns a dealership, guy that owns some random thing. And then I ended up connecting with an old Asian lady that was running a medical business. And I was like, hey, let me be your manager. Right. And the reason... Like, I was 19 years old, right? Like, me saying 19, young, all this stuff. What did I do when I showed up to these events? People didn't know I was 19. I showed up to these events in custom suits, right? I had a haircut. I was professional. I spoke like I was not 19. I spoke like I was eloquent. I knew what I was speaking about. And I also spoke like I already know what I'm talking about. I spoke like I had that confidence, right? So I spoke to this lady. I'm like, hey, I really like your business. I like what you're doing right now with what you're doing with the business. You're making $5 million right now per year. I can tell you right now and almost guarantee that I can bring that up to 10 million, right? And me saying guarantee is like I probably shouldn't have said that back then, but I just told her, yeah, like I can make it happen. Like by far, based on what I've seen, I can make your business more profitable, right? And I was in Hustlers University. I was like learning marketing and all this stuff, right? So what I told her is that I was going to work for her for free for 1 week, and I just wanted to come to the office and see how things ran. And basically, she made me the manager of that business within the first day. She saw what I was doing. She saw how hard I was working. Then she gave me that job, right? And basically, all of my employees were were university graduates, right? So they were my customer service slaves, right? They were all just working, just slaving away and everything. And I was that university graduate that just got the top job the most highest paying job in that environment, right? There was even old ladies, and they've been there for like 5+ years. I was being paid more than them. At 19 years old, that's a bit crazy, right? So I deserved to quit uni, right? Like people say, oh, should I quit uni and start my drop shipping business? I'm like, no, don't quit uni. What you need to do is show your parents that you've done some shit, and then you deserve to quit uni, right? If your parents see that you're making $1 million a year with your drop shipping business, of course they're gonna say drop out of uni and continue this drop shipping business, right? A lot of people just say, oh, should I drop out? Should I start? What you should do is stop thinking and start building your side business, or start building the reality you want to live, right? But I'll say this, networking has improved my life literally in every single big opportunity that I got. It was all through networking, right? Firstly, it started by networking within my community, right? So Toronto, the community specifically. And then it resulted in starting to network online and globally, right? After that 9-to-5 job, I had to focus on networking globally. So I joined a lot of online networks. I joined a lot of masterminds, coaching, all this stuff. I spent over 40 grand plus on just these personal self-development products. And I didn't have that much money back then. I barely had that much money. I spent like half my net worth. And at one point I was like almost like 2K in savings. And this is all the money that I was making with all these 4 jobs, right? Like I had 4 jobs, exchanging my time for money, making $10 an hour, and then like 2 years down the road spends 10 grand on some network, right? Like people, like I speak to a lot of guys, and I also have coaching, of course, right? And they tell me, oh, I work super, super hard for this money. I work super, super, super hard. I spent this amount of hours for this money. Bro, it doesn't matter. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to improve your life or not? Even though you exchanged 2,000 years of your life to get this 10 grand, it doesn't matter. What do you want to do? What is the other option? Are you just not going to purchase it and not improve your life? Or are you just going to save the money and hoard it in some bank account and do nothing? Right? Like there's no other option. Right? Like me saying it like this is just so obvious. Like, of course, take the risk, do this stuff, right? But a lot of people just don't take those risks. I just looked at my life as very obvious next steps, right? In order to gain that lifestyle, I can either stay in university and quit that 9-to-5 job, or get that 9-to-5 job and kind of lead myself towards my ideal lifestyle. What should I do? Oh, it's risky to not have the university graduate paper, so I'm gonna just stay in uni, right? Like the end of the day, the risk and the option is so obvious, right? Like of course I'm going to take that risk because it's going to lead me in the right direction. I know directly, even though it's a risky step that I'm making, that this is a necessary step that will lead me in the right direction. So of course I'm taking that step. Like a lot of people overthink on decisions. By the end of the day, what are you trying to get? Where are you trying to go? If the step that is risky, right, that you say is so risky, is the step in the right direction, then isn't it the case that not taking that step is also a risk, right? And then it's also going to lead you to like delay the lifestyle that you want to have. The reason why I got myself at 21 years old to just literally travel internationally is because every single risk that I took was the step in the right direction. And if I saw that I could make a huge step in the right direction, I took that risk, even though it was me spending this amount of money, even though it was me requiring me to take this much time out of my day, even though it was me working this amount of hours per day, I took those steps, the required steps. So I think I did like go on a bit of a rant, but yeah.
How do you calculate risk and reward? How do you keep that in mind when making those kind of decisions?
So in regards to risk, I'll say this. When you get started off in your life, usually you have to be more risky, right? Like your risk tolerance is higher because if you want to get yourself to a far extent in life, you have to take risks You have to take big risks. But I like to analyze these decisions on a very like looking back at my life type way, right? Like when I'm dead, what would I have done, right? Like would I have done this or would I have done that? If I'm on my deathbed right now, would I have regretted taking that decision or would I have been happy doing that? Right? End of the day, I'm not going to be alive for too long, and life just fades away very quickly. Like we don't live for such a long time. If you look at it in years, we live like 90 years, 80 years, 100 years. But if you kind of put it down into, I'll probably live like this amount of hours my whole entire life. End of the day, guys, like we don't have that much time on Earth. And do I want to get to that place of my life quicker or slower, faster or slower? Like end of the day, don't do retarded things. I'm not telling you right now to do such a risky move that will land you in a negative place in life, right? You have to, like the decisions that I've said before are very obvious decisions if you look at it on a very like kind of like wide scope kind of perspective. But if someone's telling me, hey, should I put this amount of equity or debt into some specific vehicles, right? Like if you get a bit more in depth and say, let me put some debt on this, let me do this, let me do that, right? I would say the best thing you can do personally is get on a call with someone like me or get on a call with someone that's qualified and ask them the question, do you think this is something I would do? Because end of the day, the best person to ask, what should I do, is someone that has your lifestyle already. If you're having a hard time taking a decision on the risk that you want to take, I would just say, speak to someone that's qualified and be like, hey, what would you do in my situation? And I'll say this right now, most people can avoid debt. So in regards to debt and putting yourself in negative areas so that you can get to a positive, usually you don't need to do that, right? There is sweat equity that you can work on instead of putting debt on the business, right? As a young guy, you probably don't earn to be able to have that debt, right? Like young guys shouldn't even be taking debt. Like you can just work hard and then you can use that money to invest it in your business and all this stuff, right? But the simple advice would be just I would just say just to speak to someone that would be qualified. Ask them, hey, bro, what would you do this? Or a lot of people discount the value of coaching or the value of networks and stuff because they keep saying, hey, why would I join this online network if I can find all the information on YouTube or all for free in some random forum or something? I'm like, bro, have you thought about like having someone help you in this gigantic life decision that you're about to make, right? Do you think that some random YouTuber online is going to help you make one of the biggest decisions of your life? Probably not. And I would probably put hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line and pay some guy to help me make that decision, then just look on YouTube and be like, oh, should I make this decision? Like typing it on YouTube and stuff, like getting the YouTube algo to push you to go to uni or push you to go in this direction. Like, nah, man. What you need to do is put your money down, right? And why do I say this coaching stuff so much? Is because I see coaching and investing in networks and stuff such an important thing because you're basically putting money on the line. It's kind of like you're gambling on yourself, right? I'm putting 1K down on myself because I know that if I get into this network, I will be a better human, I will be a better person, and I will be continuously getting better. That's basically like what I mean in regards to like taking risks and everything. But yeah, I'd just say like seek advice.
Whenever I'm seeking advice and speaking to people ahead of me, I always try and understand like the frameworks that guide their thinking in deciding things like risk. And to give background and context, there was a time that I was invited by Luke Belmar's team to a networking event in Bali. I can't remember. I think it was a few months ago. And the cost was pretty high compared to like what I had available. I could afford it, but it was a large chunk of money that I didn't really want to spend because I wanted to reinvest that into my business. So I spoke to Abdalla about it because he has much more experience in networking than I do. So I asked him, I said, hey, Abdalla, this is what's going on. This is what happened. And I'm thinking of going, wanted to get your opinion. And the way he responded gave me a framework that, like, to this day, I still use to look at networking things. Basically, what he said was, the type of entrepreneurs that will be at that event are going to be 8-figure and 9-figure entrepreneurs. The type of people that you want to network with at that event are going to be 8-figure and 9-figure entrepreneurs, and also the Belmars, who are also 8-figure, 9-figure entrepreneurs. And he asked me something, a simple question that has stuck with me. He said, are you currently at the level where you can provide enough value to those 8-figure, 9-figure entrepreneurs that they would want you in their circle? And that was a paradigm shift for me, because it was like, before I would just think of it like, I'll go and I'll speak to these guys and I may learn something that will make me a ton more money than I spent. It's a good ROI. But the way he changed the way I think was very useful and very insightful. And to me, that's just how powerful speaking and coaching just is. Because, like, you get to see a side that you didn't see before. Has there ever been, like, a really pivotal moment for you like that, where you thought something was this way and then maybe someone said something, or you experienced something and it was just like...
Yeah, I do have a thought on that specifically, but basically, I believe that in regards to if you want to network the most ideal and best way possible, what you need to do is like look at networking as like a ladder or like a stepping stool, right? You can't network with someone at the very top of the ladder. If you're at the very bottom of the ladder, then you are irrelevant to that guy at the very top, right? So what you need to do is network with the guy one step above you, right? And then firstly, beat that guy, right? So like look at that guy and be like, okay, let me get all the information he has. Let me learn everything that he has. Let me then beat him in the metaverse, beat him in the world, right? End of the day, the world is player versus player, right? And the ladder is basically you leveling up in life, right? So look at the guy that's above you, that's one step above, and then become that guy, learn from that guy, network with that guy specifically, and then you can network with the guy that's the step above, and then continuously do that and continue that cycle. But you can't just go and speak to the guy that's at the very top. It's like, firstly, if I go and talk to Alex Hormozy, I would be, I don't know, I would say I would be valuable to him because I have a lot of knowledge in general and all this kind of stuff, right? Like I've connected with Tate. There's a reason why I connected with Tate. But like a normal guy, if they meet Tate, they would be irrelevant to him, right? If a normal guy would meet Alex Hormozy, they would like just be a fan or something. Like there would be no reason for him to connect with him, right? And there's no direct value that can be communicated between those two people, right? There's nothing that Hormozy can get from that other person that Hormozy can get, right? So there's no like relationship that can be built, right? So I always say what you need to do is connect with those that are a step above you. And for example, this whole Luke Belmar thing, I would say it's a good decision. You didn't go to that event, right? Yeah, so like you're not going to that event because end of the day, the direct ROI that you'll have on connecting with these 8-figure, 9-figure entrepreneurs wouldn't really be clear because you're not at that level yet. And what you need to do is get the step above. But that is also a limiting belief, right? I'll say this. Hormozy would go to, he actually went to like mastermind events, right? And he was the only guy with a brick and mortar gym, right? Everyone else was doing software. But that moment, pivotal moment, even though he was speaking to people very, very high above, it got him to pivot his business, right? So I'll say everything in general, it always goes in the middle, right? It's always like a risk. There's always positives, negatives, and whatever it is. And if you choose one direction that might have more negatives than positive, maybe you'll get all the positives that come from that experience, even though there are so many negatives that might have came, right? Or you choose the option that has so many positives and a few negatives, and you just absorbed only the negatives, right? It's always a decision in the middle. Sometimes people make decisions that go completely against everything that I say, but they get to those areas of success. End of the day, you have to, firstly, I would say, seek advice, ask people, would you do this? Generally, what I would say, don't network with people that are so high above you, right? You don't have any direct ROI to bring to them. You don't have value specifically to bring to those people. So just network up as a stepping stool, basically. So if you see people that are a bit above you, connect with them. And then if you see people that are above those people and you've kind of like stepped up in the world, kind of in the ladder, right? Then continuously go up and up and up. A lot of people, they go up the ladder of the world, right? I'll say this even in regards to my life, right? I could have gone from university, gone to my 9-to-5 job and stayed there, right? A lot of people, they just stand on one step and then they just stay there for the rest of their lives. It's like, no, you have to consistently, nonstop seek for the next step. Look at your ideal goal and be like, if I'm stagnant right now, am I going to any direction that I want to be at? If I'm stagnant, I should be at my location that I want to be. Usually, you're never going to be at your ideal goal. You're never going to be at the place that you want to ever be, right? But yeah, you should always look towards the very, very top being the pinnacle of how you want to live, and then step up slowly, and then get there. But yeah.
What's the best lesson or lesson that you hold closest to you?
That I hold closest to me. I think that this is pretty valuable for some people. I look at life as like climbing mountains, right? And some people are very lazy. They can't even climb one mountain. But in regards to climbing mountains, what does this mean, right? Usually people are faced with obstacles, right? And that obstacle is that next job or that next opportunity that they get, right? And you're really just given one mountain in front of you to overcome. And if you don't overcome that mountain, then you're going to scroll back to the very, very bottom of that, and you'll need to overcome it anyways, right? So what you have to do is climb that mountain with speed and then get to the very, very top of it, which means like, okay, say for example, I got this 9-to-5 job. What I'm going to do, I'm going to max out what I'm doing in this 9-to-5 job, show my best colors, and then now I see that in this 9-to-5, it's not really scalable anymore for me. What am I going to do? Am I going to stay in that 9-to-5 and just allow my life to just keep going like this? Or am I going to seek for the next opportunity? What am I going to do? I'm going to seek the next opportunity right when I see that this 9-to-5 job is not allowing my lifestyle to continue, allowing me to gain more skills, right? Because at some point when I was in that 9-to-5, it was very beneficial. I was learning a lot of skills. But as I kept staying there, there was a decreasing ROI on me being there because I was not learning any new skills. I was not really making that much money. I was making the most amount of money in that office, but it was jack shit, bro. But there was no like direct ROI for me staying there. So what do you have to do? You have to climb down from the very top of that mountain, climb down to the next mountain that's approaching you, right? And when you climb down, you're probably losing money. You're probably wasting a lot of time, or you're probably spending a lot of time on hustling, on doing things that are not bringing you tons of ROI, but you're climbing down, but you're doing the thing that's required in order to keep your life going, right? Then you climb the next mountain and then continuously doing nonstop. But what a lot of people do is that they climb the mountain, they stay at the top, they sit at the top just like chilling, right? Because they're at the very top, they're relaxing, whatever it is, and they don't seek for that next opportunity, and they don't want to climb down and go through the financial stress and go through the financial problems or whatever kind of problems they would need to face by going down and then climbing the next one. The next mountain is higher, and it's going to get you to have an even better lifestyle, a better whatever it may be, right? And then there's the mountain after that, and it keeps going. But you need to have that vision. Like, where do you want to be? Do you want to just sit at the top of this specific opportunity, right, at this 9 to 5 and just stay there? Or do you want to keep going consistently nonstop? But yeah, that's kind of something that would be valuable in general.
Okay, what do you learn that from?
I would just say because I feel like everything has been just placed so well in my life. Like, once I got the 9 to 5, like the point that I wanted to leave uni so much, the next day I got this 9 to 5 opportunity. And then once I got the 9 to 5 opportunity, I stayed there. And then when I was like, man, I have to leave, I need to go to the next thing. Like a few days later, I then got an opportunity to get the next thing going, right? And then once I had that opportunity, and then I was like, okay, there's decreasing ROI to working on this project. Like a few days later, that's when I got someone phone calls me and this, right? And then I kind of like tried to figure out how I can conceptualize this and communicate this to others. And I'm like, bro, that's what it is. Like there would be those few moments within those like pivots where I would look at what kind of risk I'm making, and I would basically say, okay, right now I'm climbing down the very top of the mountain that I'm at right now, climbing to the very, very bottom so I can go to the very top of the next one. I just need to take that risk, right? I just need to keep going. But yeah, that's kind of like it just came through my brain. It wasn't really someone that like told me this or whatever it may be. Like, I'll tell you right now, like the beginning of my life was very, very lonely. I've done a lot of this stuff very like not with anyone, because no one else wanted to do this stuff. No one else wanted to hustle as hard as I did, right? It's hard for other people to be in the same room as me. I'm telling you this right now. It's hard for other people to sit in the same room on the couch over there and chill in the same room as me, because I'm working like crazy. And they would basically feel like garbage after sitting in the same room for an hour, because like I work like so hard. I speak about this, I speak about that, and I basically wreck them within a few seconds because I'm 21, already building businesses, already at probably a further lifestyle than most of these people. And it's like, it's hard to find people that are like-minded, that are on the same wavelength. People might think the same as me, but when it comes to receipts and when it comes to like actual in real life, are you doing the shit that you're speaking about? Right? There's not that many people.
Think of how to word this now. Going back to that point of loneliness, is there that desire to kind of find a tribe and find like-minded people who work hard, have the same work ethic, are on the same wavelength? Or is that something that's gradually faded away and now you're just focusing on your own thing?
No, I'll say right now, even though I say it's hard, I've made investments in order to get me in the right circles, right? Like, I'm around Jules and Sneako because they are guys that work at the same level as me, and they're people that I look up to, right? So I'll say this, when I was starting, it was very lonely, right? But as I started accelerating, I made investments that would get me in the right circles, right? So then I joined online networks, I joined a bunch of different networks online or whatever it may be. Then I got myself to connect with people in Dubai as well as different places all around the world, in Europe, whatever it may be. And I started gravitating into the right circles. Or I'll say, if your Instagram or whatever it is, your personal profile or how you portray yourself in the world, if you portray yourself to be a guy of value, a guy that works very, very hard, a person that's high energy, high work ethic, whatever it may be, those people will be attracted to you. So even though you might be lonely in the beginning of your life, right? You have to know that if you continuously portray yourself in that way, those kind of people that you want to attract would get into your circles, right? I know a lot of people that are like, I want to get into the like-minded individuals. I want to be around other people that think like me. What you've got to do firstly is clean up your act, right? You are your own marketing vehicle. Like, you are marketing yourself towards the world in this way. So you're wearing this kind of shirt. You're wearing this kind of outfit. You are wearing this kind of, you have this haircut, right? Like, you're doing everything, and you're portraying your life as this. You're portraying your value as this. Is that actually a representation of who you want to be around? Do you want to be around guys that just wear normal clothes, or do you want to be around guys that wear suits? And it also goes with your work ethic, right? You want to show that you're a hard worker. You want to show that you're doing all this stuff. You also want to show online. That's why personal brand is so important. You want to show online that you're that kind of guy, right? And if you're that kind of guy, then like-minded people would then want to connect with you. I'll say, for example, just through my personal brand, just through my Instagram, I was able to connect with a lot of people even in Thailand as well as Dubai, like directly from Instagram. They saw my post. They're like, oh, I want to be, I am like that guy. He seems relatable. Let's connect. And I met him through IG, and then we're like, oh, we're in the same city. Let's meet up. Right? That's what it is then to build your own network. But I'll say in the very early days, it's hard because you're doing it all alone. And most people don't want to take that risk, right? Everyone wants to do the easy option. Everyone wants to do the easy stuff and stay in the same place that they're at, because if they want to get to a far extent of their life, they will need to work hard, and very hard. I mean, like, they will need to like sacrifice and like I don't know, like, just go very far that normal humans, like in regards to like financial stress, emotional stress, whatever it may be, altogether, it's going to be hard. And most people don't want to do it, which is why when you get started and when you're accelerating, you're alone in that car, right? But once you're at like 200 kilometers an hour, 400 kilometers an hour, then some other people would then drive beside you and be like, hey, yeah, bro, let's keep driving together. Or like, once you're at like a specific velocity in life, then you'll be able to attract more people. And like, I'll say this right now, the world is super, super small once you then get into the highest networks possible. Like, I'll say this right now, I know most influencers online, and there's a reason why they're up there. It's because they work hard and they put themselves online and they put out that content, right? I've met most influencers online, and the reason why I've been able to connect with them is because we vibrate on the same wavelength. We vibrate on the same kind of work ethic. So you are your own marketing vehicle. If you want to attract a guy that is homeless on the road, then of course dress like a homeless guy. But if you want to attract people that are high value, then change the way that you perceive, like, put yourself out there. Change the way that you speak, right? Less uhs, ums, all this stuff, right? Be more professional. And I'll say this right now, there is no downsides to being more professional. And I learned this from Sartorial. The way that he lives his life is under complete professionalism, and I respect that highly. And I looked at what I was doing, and I was like, man, I'm not professional enough with my personal look. I'm not professional enough with what I do on a daily basis. I need to be at that wavelength, right? So then I adjusted what I was doing, and then I got there. So, yeah, that's what I would say.
We like ending this podcast by getting the last guest as well as the audience to ask a question to the next guest without knowing who that next guest is. So from the last guest, we have, on a level of 1 to 10, how happy are you?
Happy, like, is it that specific word? Because happy is just temporary, bro. Like, happy, I don't know, like, I don't really give a shit about how me being happy or not, right? Directly right now, I just came back from a Michelin star restaurant. I'm about to go to sleep, like, and I also killed the day. I made a lot of money today. I am happy. I'm happy at the level of 10, but in regards to like fulfillment, which is what my indicator would be, like more of a accurate indicator, I would say I'm at a 7 right now because I've got a lot of work to do. Even though people look at my life and say, "Oh, bro, you are like a god." They would look at my Instagram and they're like, "Oh, you're 21, you're hanging around these people, you're so far away from me, like you've made it." I'm like, "No, I didn't make shit." I'm seeing what Sartorial and Sneako and Tate is doing, and I'm like, "Bro, I gotta go way further. I've got to like go so much further, right?" But yeah, that's what I would say on that point. Like I'm happy at the current moment in time. So yeah.
So a question from the audience. What made you succeed in your industry?
What made me succeed in my industry? I would say it's very easy to succeed if you're beating your opponents, right? So what you need to do is look at your opponents and see what they're doing and see where they're at in life and see how they're delegating what they're doing and just be better. Just do better than them, right? If you see your opponents, because I'm in competition with a lot of people right now and they don't even fucking know me. And why do I do this? I create competition with these people because I want to be the best in this industry. Even though I don't know them and even though they're not direct like competition and stuff, we are working within the same niche. We are working within the same leads. We're trying to attract the same kind of people. Right? So what you've got to do is create competition with these people and ultimately see what they're doing and then just do better than them. So that's pretty much an easy answer to that question. Just look at what other people in your industry are doing and do better than them. So yeah, it's pretty much it's very simple, bro. Like just creating competition is something that I've done since the beginning of time. I've been a very competitive person.
How about when you're the only one on that wavelength, when you're the only one there, kind of, how do you find people to compete with? Is it just you find people online and, that type of thing? Or is it, how?
Yeah. Well, what you would usually do is force yourself to see what they're doing, right? So what I would do is follow them on Instagram, follow them on Twitter, follow them on YouTube, post notifications, all this stuff, and have their face pushed into my face and see how hard they're working and see what they're doing directly. And that's kind of like what instills that competition because you see your phone notification. Oh, my opponent just said something online. My opponent just did this online. I need to beat him, right? Like you can do that in not only the online world. Like if, for example, someone else in a brick and mortar industry did this or this or this, you can get a VA to give you updates, or you can figure out a way to build that kind of competition. But yeah, that's what I would say in general. You would just create that competition indirectly by following what they're doing and following their socials and all this stuff. I would just follow guys' social medias and I'm like, bro, this guy, man, I need to beat him. So yeah, like I'm telling you, bro, like the times when the US was progressing the most was when capitalism was at its strongest, right? So if you want to progress quicker, create competition on every single end. I'm not telling you to create competition with a guy that's like so high up in the world and all this stuff, right? I'm saying create competition with someone that's like one step above you, right? That's why I say the ladder is so important, right? Don't compete with a 9-figure entrepreneur if you're only a 1-figure entrepreneur, right? Compete with someone that's a 2-figure entrepreneur, then a 3-figure entrepreneur, right? It's not really hard to like compete with a 3-figure or 4-figure, but that's what I'm just saying. Like compete with someone a level above you.
Who are you currently competing with?
Me? I would say there's a lot of people on Instagram, a lot of people on Twitter. I don't like to like create beef, bro, but it's it's very like temporary. I would say there are some people, and I don't want to name their names, but I've had conversations with them, and I've said, oh, let me go on your podcast or let's collab or something. they were in the same city as me or something like that. And I messaged them and they left me on red. And it made me super, super mad. Basically, another influencer, which was a bit more famous than me, he saw my message and he was like, no, I'm not going to hang out with him. He's irrelevant. I'm going to leave him on the side. That pissed me off like crazy. It pissed me off to some levels that I'm like, bro, fuck this guy. I need to beat him. And I did end up beating him. And then I found a new opponent. I messaged the guy. He actually did the same thing in front of my face, right? And I was in the same city as him. I was in Dubai. And it pissed me off again. And if you get pissed off to that level, you will like easily like go far in life, right? Because that like emotion you get is, even though you have to be emotionally strong, you have to control your emotions. If you regulate your emotions and you direct that energy in the positive direction, you can achieve success very, very easily. So, yeah, it's just a like funny story, you know?
Anyone in the physical aspect?
Physical aspect. Yeah. I'll say this. I've been lacking, but recently I've been looking at other people and I'm like, geez, man, these guys, they're like a lot of guys online, these fitness guys. A lot of them are dumbasses, man. A lot of them, like, they're not as smart as me. They're not as like business minded. They don't really understand how to monetize audiences. They don't know all this stuff, right? And if I just get ripped and stuff, I would just get more views. I would get more whatever it may be. And it just pissed me off because just from the fact of them being physically fit gets them 10 times more views, and they're like 20 times less aware of the online stuff. They're not as good as monetizing. They're like, I just look at them and I'm like, bro, I can beat him up like easily in the metaverse, right? But in regards to like physicality, he's better. And it just pissed me off. It's like this guy was making this amount of money, and I would figure out, okay, this fitness dude, this big fitness dude would make this amount of money. And I would easily say, bro, I'm more smart than him. I'm better than him. Why is he making more money than me? Like, that's how it create that competition. So recently I'm like, bro, a lot of these fitness guys, they all they know is the gym. So if I can just beat them at their own game, then I'll beat them ASAP. So yeah.
Anyone in particular?
Like, I'm kind of speaking about the general like fitness niche. Like, I can see a lot of guys in LA, right? And they just act very, very dumb, and I'm like, man, bro, if I like am more strong than you, I can easily firstly make more money than you and get more views than you. So yeah, like LA, yeah, dudes in LA, man, like they're very, very, very annoying, like the way that they speak online. I'll tell you right now, I don't really look at a lot of online content. The amount of time that I spend online looking at reels is like almost like less than 10 minutes, right? I only look at reels that are about me or reels that are about people that speak about me or some other stuff, right? Sometimes it pops up here and there, but sometimes I see these guys and I'm like, bro, why does he have 1 million views? Just because he has big biceps. Like, that's really it. So, all right.
Oh, I'm tempted to compete with you in fitness.
Yeah, bro, compete with me on every end. I'm telling you, if you push me to if you compete with me on the physicality end, and I'm telling you, I'm working hard at it, very, very hard. I'm focusing more energy on that side of my life. Well, once I go to Poland, it is game over. It is game over. Like, it's gonna be hard to catch up.
How much do you bench?
Bro, I don't look at the weights. I just put weights and then I just move them. I'm not like that, like, oh, let me pull up this amount. I would do like 45s on either side. That's like really my average. I never like put a lot of weight because then I would injure myself and stuff. I really try to do it on a risk-based analysis. Like, am I really going to put more weight because I'm going to prove to this other guy that I'm more stronger than him? Probably not. But firstly, I need to start competing more, so I might like increase weight and all this stuff, right? But of course, I can't be retarded. I can't just add a bunch of weight and just injure myself and stuff. You know, I need to make it make sense.
It has been great speaking to you. I really appreciate you taking your time having this conversation. I learned a lot personally. Hopefully, people watching can also gain a lot from this. Where can those people watching find you?
Okay, so I want a lot of people to check my YouTube because I've already dropped enough knowledge on YouTube that you would understand that if you looked at my YouTube, based on what I said in this podcast, you probably think that I am qualified enough to give you some kind of life advice. So check the YouTube, right? Firstly, then the Telegram channel, because I actually speak in the Telegram channel every single day. I'm pretty sure you followed it as well. And everyone tells me that it's super valuable. So it's like, all right, cool. Join the Telegram channel if you can put the link in bio or whatever it may be. Basically, go over there. And then my Instagram, if you want to know more about my life, I have some cool pictures with some cool influential people. And yeah, I don't know, my Twitter as well. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. But mostly I would say if you want to get most ROI, most value, I would say Telegram channel and the YouTube.
Any plug for Access Club?
Access Club is launching in a few days, I would say. But if anyone wants to learn about it, you can message me on IG. But yeah, bro, that's just a small project that I've, well, not small, but a project that I've working on. But yeah, anyone that actually joined Access Club on the pre-launch actually already made back all their money. It's a fun thing that I'm doing.
What can people watching expect?
Oh, Access Club. So the biggest thing that I've understood and realized is accountability is super important. Setting up the right environments is very, very important, which is why I created the Access Club. Access Club is basically the ideal environment a young man can create, or a man in their 30s or whatever it may be. The ideal environment any man can create in order to get to these kind of levels of success that I'm at, right? Or even further, right? I understand that it's under masculine accountability and kind of daily accountability that allows you to get to those levels, as well as a receipts-based culture, whereas everyone would be incentivized and would compete based on receipts, right? So we don't talk shit in my network. It's mostly about accountability personally, looking at what other people are doing, competing with each other. And on top of that, we've got guidelines, right? I've got a standard. I'm not going to allow someone to come inside and they're basically some low-level guy and then not adjust that like them being a low-level person. They have to be at the standard. So we've created courses, attire courses, body language courses, all these different courses on every single side of your life, as well as a money course. And on top of that, this is super valuable, I'm telling you right now, because I actually met this guy from Monaco, and I can't really say much about Monaco Mark, but basically he's also released a list of every single top location in the world that the elites would want to connect with, or the elites go, where essentially you would know, okay, if I go to France or if I go to Germany, if I go here, this is where I need to go to meet with the elites. This is exactly what I need to do. This is exactly what I need to wear. This is who I need to speak to. We've made a list as such, and we've made networking so easy that all you need to do is to join the Access Club, and you know everything about, firstly, leveling yourself up, almost guaranteeing you to achieve your goals based under the accountability and everything. And on top of that, having a whole entire list of the best places on earth to connect with and go to in order to connect with high-level people. Also, of course, we have masterminds and everything. But, you know, it's a long-ass conversation, you know. It's but I'll just say it's a lot of fun inside my network.
Well, it's been great having you, and we'll speak again sometime soon.
Awesome, bro. Yeah, I had a good podcast. Let's do it, man.
Cheers, bro.